In an interview, Mike Tyson, who was close friends with Tupac, said that he wishes he had 5 minutes in the room with Tupac's killer.
Mike Tyson's a boxer, man. You know what I'm saying? He all these dudes, Tretch, I be hearing them all saying all that old tough guy shit. Them dudes are rappers and boxers. They ain't about that life, dude. You know what I'm saying? They need to stay in their fucking place, dude. You know damn well you don't want to see this. You know what I'm saying? I'm trained to go. I don't know about him. It's do or die. And I'm from the old school, homeboy, and I'm from Compton, dude. I'm not playing with that shit. Suge just ducked his head, and the first bullet went in his head, so the next one's hit him. It was like he was doing a breakdance trying to jump in the back seat or something.
You've all already heard the news that Keffe D was arrested. Let us, in this video, talk about who Keffe D is and how he is connected to Tupac's murder, and why Puff Daddy should be afraid for his future. After all, according to the words of the protagonist of our video, Tupac's murder is also partly because of the founder of Bad Boy Records. Everything that will be said next is quoted from Keffe D's interview and autobiography. Generally speaking, Keffe D, whose real name is Dwayne Davis, is a member of the Southside Compton Crips gang, which was involved in drug dealing. In the early 90s, he got to know a gangster called Eric Von Zip Martin, who was from the East Coast. People in his circle just called him Zip. Actually, it was Zip himself who introduced him to Sean Puffy Combs. Zip and Puffy were very close friends at that time. For Keffe D, Puffy was just a regular guy who was just starting out with his business. However, nowadays he hates him and genuinely regrets ever meeting the guy he calls a bastard. After meeting for the first time, Puffy and Keffe D reconnected with one another after a couple of months regarding renting a car for the artist Usher for the music video Can You Get With It. Puff paid Keffe $2,400 for the car. In the summer of '95, Zip came through the neighborhood and invited Keffe D to a party hosted by Puff, calling it the Beat Summer Jam. SUGE Night was at the party, and according to Keffe's opinion, Suge was already jealous of Puffy because of how well things were going for him at the time. Suge asked him where he knows them from, and he said, just like everyone else, from drug dealing. After that, the most epic Source Awards event took place, where Suge said, "Murder of Suge and Pac."
Even if he wasn't serious about it, but he did say that around.
It was floating.
This diss track from Tupac really pissed Puff Daddy off. In turn, Keffe D saw Pac a few times, and he appeared like a good guy to him. However, a little later, during one of the concerts, Tupac had to explain himself for the lines he read from the singers were up at the House of Blues on Sunset, and they ran into Tupac. He was up there with Big Syke from the Outlaws. One of the members of the gang went up and grabbed Tupac by the collar and pushed him against a wall and said, "Man, you know what that Long Beach and Rosecrans stand for?" Later came the moment which led to Tupac later attacking Orlando Anderson. One of Keffe D's friends, called Victor, was one of the main high school footballers who was heading to college. And so, Keffe told him they want to give him a proper send-off before he leaves. While Victor was at the mall, he ran into 3 Pyrus gang members who were down with Death Row's crew. People from the Pyrus gang were beating up Victor at the mall. That same time, people from the Southsiders gang entered the mall. They didn't know that Victor is a member of the gang. When Victor saw that his allies had entered the mall, he told the people beating him up that now the real battle begins. In 1996, Keffe D and his guys attended the Mike Tyson match, just as Tupac and his own guys were at the game. After the match, they headed to the prearranged meeting place where they waited for about 15 minutes. Little by little, everybody started showing up except for his nephew. Next, Keffe D was told that someone had attacked his nephew. They came to find out later, the same dude from the Lakewood Mall that got his chain snatched was walking with Tupac when they saw Baby Lane in the lobby of the MGM. They rushed up out of the cafe and went to find Baby Lane, who was actually Orlando Anderson. They saw him inside the MGM minutes after they had jumped him. By the time they got there, Suge, Pac, and their crew had already left. Baby Lane's shoulder was a little messed up, but other than that, he was alright. When Keffe D asked him what happened, he said, "Death Row guys rushed me. One of them guys from the Lakewood Mall was running with the boy that started that shit." He couldn't let that go. For him, it was seriously humiliating that some guys from the music industry had beaten up his nephew. What's more is that Puff had already asked for help, and that SUGE had absolutely not appreciated the help that he had received in founding the label. So they decided to take revenge. They knew that SUGE and Pac were heading down the 662. While they were waiting for the valet to bring out their cars, Zip seized the opportunity and called Keefe D over to his Benz. As he walked up to the driver's side window, he noticed that Foxy Brown was in the car with Zip. So Zip instructed her to step out of the car and motioned for him to jump in. Zip had a hidden compartment that he opened up, reached in, and pulled a black .40 Glock out. He turned to Keefe and said, "It's time to get the money." Keefe D hopped out of the car, held the door open for Foxy Brown to get back in, closed the door, and they pulled off. At the beginning, him and his guys waited for them for an hour and a half. However, no one showed up, and Keefe D said that it was time to head out. Their next destination was the Carriage House, a Las Vegas hotel where they had rented a few rooms as a kickback spot. On the way to the Carriage House, they stopped by the liquor barn to buy some bottles of Dom Perignon Rosé, and Cristal. As they were driving to the liquor barn, it became evident that the guys in the van with Davis were worried that SUGE would get some of his police hitmen to come back and try to kill them if they went after them. It really pissed off Keefe, because why would they start it all if they were actually afraid? And so, he sat in the other guy's white Cadillac so he can go chill. He pulled out the Glock that Zip had given him and tossed it in the back seat. Bubble Up did the driving. Baby Lane and Freaky, their eyes locked. The terrified expression on SUGE's face read, "Damn, it's them." Pac pulled out a strap, and that's when the fireworks started. One of Davis's guys from the backseat grabbed the Glock and started busting back. The first shot skinned SUGE in his head. Keefe D heard stories claiming that SUGE actually hid behind Tupac, but they're not true, and SUGE was the first to get injured. After this incident, they hung out as if nothing had happened. They left the Cadillac, and the gun was hidden in one of the wheels of the car, shared with Keefe D.
If he gave the money, Puppy will be in prison now, money for hire.
The FBI said they were just Zip.
So the FBI told you the
They said he
same
was a
thing?
dirty motherfucker, yeah.
So the FBI told you that Zip kept that money as well.
They said Zip's a dirty motherfucker. Everybody cross you.
Now, it was this documentary that claimed, which we know wasn't true.
Yeah, check this out. We don't talk about things that are nonsense. We don't even entertain nonsense, my brother.
It's also worth saying that he confessed that SUGE paid $60,000 to his nephew so that Orlando can testify in court that SUGE didn't attack him. However, that didn't help the boss of Death Row Records one bit, and SUGE was sentenced to 9 years behind bars. What do you think about this situation? What awaits Keefe D and Puff Daddy? Let us know in the comments. Subscribe to the channel, and see you soon.